Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So these days I've been pretty busy trying to focus, finishing up my master's thesis paper. It's about 120 pages long, and I'm spending an average 2 hours every day typing and thinking, organizing the ideas. And I try to get out sometimes for a walk, but usually time is pretty tight for doing an outdoor sketch because it actually takes a lot of time and energy to film, and then the time to rest after sketching and filming. So these days, saving my energy and focusing on my thesis is the most important. I really miss sketching outdoors, doing urban sketching. I know a lot of you are looking forward to my new videos about urban sketching, but a lot more time and energy is needed to sketch and film outdoors. So I will need to finish my thesis first, so I will have more time and energy to go outdoors. So I'm always trying to find like 15 to 20 minutes at the end of the day to do a sketch or two. So on this day, I'm sketching the evening sky outside the west window. I've been sketching this view for numerous times over the years. Every time, the view and my feeling is so different. So I never really get tired from sketching the same stuff. So the drawing part is taking me less than 5 minutes because I want to get this done fast. The colors and the clouds are moving away really fast outside. So I'm trying to get as fast as I can. I've been sketching this view for numerous times, so I'm really familiar with all the structures. So I focus on the large shapes first and just adding a little bit more detail inside, and that's it. I don't overwork. On the drawings, I'm working fast and I'm only trying to capture the essence of the scenes. And the painting part took me about 10 minutes to finish. So I wetted the sky area first and just put on the lightest color first. The yellow-orange streaks of clouds using brushstrokes, and then adding some cerulean blue and ultramarine blue for the sky, and just let the two blues blend together without over blending. Add a bit of green because the horizon in the evening looks a bit greenish. Mix ultramarine blue and purple together for the dark shades for the clouds. I'm painting very loosely. Also, I'm using my memory from a few minutes ago because the clouds are changing really fast. It's like every 5 seconds is a different shape. So it's like impossible to capture what's really there. So we have to use our memory, our impressions to paint instead of stressing out on the accuracy. And now I'm just adding the first layer and then the second layer wet on wet for the trees in the distance. It's good to begin with a lighter green first before adding a darker green on top. This is how watercolor works. It's better to start with a lighter color before adding a darker tone on top. It's painting very loosely with this wet on wet technique. Dark tone over light tone. It's giving a kind of vibrancy to the trees so they don't look too flat. Also, I'm using different brushstrokes to create an impressionistic brushstrokes. Painting the rooftops with dark brown. Using leftover gray to paint the houses and the windows. So just adding some final polish, some darker shade of green for the trees so there's more contrast. That's it. So here's my finished sketch. It took me about 15 minutes in total. As you can see, the sky is so different now. All the colors have faded away. So it's really important to use the memory and remembering the impressions and then transfer the impression on paper instead of stressing out on the accuracy. And tonight I'm sketching some strawberries I bought on grocery shopping today. So I'm going to sketch on the bottom of this page. Since I already have a really colorful and busy scene on top, it's really important to keep the bottom less busy with a lot of white space and just simple objects floating around. So when drawing the strawberries, I'm starting with the stems first and then the shapes of the body. Every single strawberry had different size and shapes. With the overlapping here. And I'm sketching really quickly without worrying about the accuracy. I think the faster I sketch, the more liveliness in the line works. So I'm kind of letting go of the idealism of what strawberry should look like. I'm just focusing on my observations and my interpretations, my understandings, and transfer those things on paper using pen. Hand-eye coordination. Just adding those C's very loosely. Add a tiny bit of hatching. So instead of having an idealism of producing photorealistic artworks, I focus more on my seeing and thinking process. I think everybody has a different way of seeing and analyzing the things they see and then transfer them into drawings. I think everyone should have a different style of drawing strawberries. And now I am ready to paint with watercolors. It's gonna be a little tricky because those strawberries are really like a dark red. And on the surfaces, there are barely any visible shade because all of the overall bodies are so dark. It's kind of hard. It's gonna be challenging to show contrast. So anyway, I'm just laying on the first layer first, light magenta, and leaving some tiny spots of highlights. Okay, so for the second layer, I'm adding a darker shade of red magenta by mixing in a little bit ultramarine blue into the original color. So I like painting multiple layers because it adds more depth and intensity. An even darker shade by mixing in more ultramarine blue. And now adding the first layer colors for the stems, light green, and then blending on a dark radiant green. So I want to give more sense of dimension to these strawberries. So now I'm adding an even darker shade a magenta purple by mixing even more ultramarine blue. Again, use dotting techniques because I don't want to paint the strawberries way too flat because there are a lot of seeds on the surfaces. Kind of want to suggest that. Now I'm adding a blue frame just to give more contrast to the composition here and to make the strawberries stand out better from the page. And finally adding the shadows so they stand out even better. Mixing my own gray by mixing ultramarine blue and purple together. Starting the first layer very watery and now just adding a second darker layer around the edges. So there's a nice transition. Here is my finished page. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please click like and leave me a comment below. If you like my channel, please subscribe for weekly updates. And I will see you next time.